Hello guys, it's Brian. I am posting another vlog on application process as well as the interviewing process when it comes to the banking industry. Um, I would say that my application process was pretty straightforward for all of the financial institutions that I worked at. This was three now, or four, I should say. Um, and I I think it's pretty straightforward. The one thing that I do, or a couple things that I want to highlight otherwise, um, make sure you have a cover letter. I know it is not required. I know it's optional, but it's very important. It's one of the only pieces of your application to really showcase your skills and your abilities and your qualifications to fit the role. When you make your cover letter, make sure you include information on what you have done and what you want to do that leads to this position being the next stop for you. Um, and make sure you highlight skills and abilities and your qualifications to obtain that role. Um, Make it personal, be authentic throughout all of the application process, throughout all of the process, ideally, just because interviewers within the banking industry and within most industries, they can really spot out BS right away. And so you want to make sure that you're authentic so that, if you put something on your application and you have a on the phone or a phone interview, you want to make sure that it's parallel. You want to make sure that it matches the kind of the image that you portrayed. So be authentic, have a cover letter. Within your resume, you want to have an objective. I know this is known, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't have objectives within their cover letter or their resume. And it's important just because it gives the organization an idea of where you want to be. This can be something that's broad when it comes to, say, I I have aspirations to become a leader within the financial industry. This could be something that's specific. You have a specific position in mind. It can also be specific to the organization. I would prefer to make it specific in general, but not to the organization, just because it'll show that you altered your resume to fit the needs of that specific organization. Something that it's typical, and some people say that it's encouraged. However, I spoke with a recruiter at the organization that I currently work at, and she told me that, once things like that happen, then it shows that you might be altering your resume or your cover letter to, well, your cover letter is altered, but your resume to several different organizations. And so you want to make sure that it's broad but specific at the same time. And so that's something that you should keep on your radar as well. Let me just make sure there's not anything I am leaving out when it comes to the cover letter and the resume. Also, I would prepare for, there is going to be, after the generic questions that's on most applications, there is going to probably be an assessment or a personality test. And I would prepare for that. Be authentic. I'm sorry, I wouldn't prepare for that much. Be authentic about your approach and make sure that you are being completely honest. Just because if they are looking at that personality test and you have a phone interview, your communication styles are going to be apparent within that interview. The recruiter is paying attention to that. And furthermore, if you get past the phone interview when you're in person, then they're able to get a lot more information about you. And if it's not matching with the personality test, then that is going to sway their decision to bring you on board. So that's something that's important as well. That's something that's probably going to come up. I would definitely say some skills that I think you guys might want to cover. They would like to see someone who is good at building relationships. So if you don't have any banking experience and you have retail experience, make sure you leverage that. Make sure you leverage customer satisfaction and any performance increase or performance evaluation that works in your favor. I would also say that another thing would be just your communication styles in general. That's something that is looked at. You know, you are the eye of the company when that customer is right in front of you. So it's important that you maintain a good image, and it's important to kind of make sure the customer is appreciated by your services. So that's something that you want to showcase as well. Um, Also, you have to have the ability to learn quick. Um, there's going to be an intensive, if you haven't had a banking job yet, there's typically a pretty extensive amount of training that's required at the start, and so you have to be able to retain that information. And after the training, you're still going to be learning new things continuously, just because the banking industry is ever changing. And so you have to be able to keep up with product knowledge, services, and um, you also have to be able to keep up with rules and regulations that are imposed by the government and um, people within your organization. So that's something to keep your eye out for as well. Other tests that might be on the application, they might have math, they might have sales related tests, they might have relationship related questions, if you will. They might have questions that are centered around your previous experience, and so it's important to be authentic in that area as well. I like to highlight being authentic, just because in the banking world, not only do the recruiter, the management, and the customers see through a lot of different fabricated kind of emotions and things of that nature, but it's just important to be authentic in general when it comes to applying for positions and things of that nature. And so after the personality assessment is completed, then you will probably be going on to your interviewing process. And the interviewing process is where things start to become a little bit more intense. And that is simply because they are getting a sense of who you are to see if you are fit for the role, of course, as if any other industry or organization. The only difference within the banking industry, they are typically, depending on your market, there are typically upwards of 50 to hundreds of applicants for the position that you're applying for. And so they have a lot of different options, and you have to be able to make yourself stand out. That's very, very important. Highlights, you have to be able to work collaboratively. There are a lot of things that you're going to be doing independently. However, there are some things that you'll be doing collaboratively as a group. And you have to be able to showcase your skills to the group, and you have to be able to kind of identify everyone's abilities and skill sets and strengths and things of that nature internally, just because there are a lot of referrals that happen within the business, and you have to be able to know who to refer for that manner. You also have to be able to know what skills people have, so you can leverage them and they can leverage you for your strengths. And so that's important to have. That's something that I would showcase within the interview. Another thing that I would showcase within the interview is your ability to build client relationships. Now, this is one of the most important things, and this could be customer service, this could be anything, but you want to be able to showcase not only your experience, but kind of your approach. You should have an approach ready for selling. You should have an approach ready for cross-selling. You should have an approach ready for building a relationship. You should also have an approach for basically how you're going to obtain and maintain relationships with your understanding of